Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Andrew Yang, you and the media. All right, so I've been thinking a lot about Andrew Yang and the media. The media's coverage of Andrew Yang has been incredibly frustrating. I don't have to, enumerate all the different things that have gone wrong. You're quite aware of them. And it's been, and I think, if you're a Yang supporter, you're incredibly frustrated with this. It's incredibly frustrating, right? And I've been thinking about it, and I was very tempted to be, to just chalk it up to malevolence on the part of the media, right? And I'm not sure that's right. I have a theory. I've been thinking about this a lot, and my theory is that traditional media, so media that is connected to television, media that is connected to cable, media that is connected to newspapers, media that is connected to magazines, that traditional media at the institutional level, traditional media at the macro level, that institution, traditional media, is suffering from trauma, right? So traditional media is suffering from trauma. That's a bold statement, so I need to back it up, right? So let's do it. All right, so I have a mnemonic to hit all my points, and I'm going to go right through it. So my mnemonic is PAIDS, all right? Panic, avoidance, irritability, disassociation, and sadness. These are all symptoms of trauma, okay? So of an entity that has suffered trauma, right? And I think that you can see them all displayed by traditional media. Let's go through one at a time. Panic. So one of the things that an entity will do when it suffers panic, right, is it will lash out without control. Like it'll just kind of lash out, like it'll attack, right? I think this very much happens with Trump. Well, by the way, what caused the trauma? What's the source of trauma? Trump's election. I think that the 2016 election of Trump was absolutely shocking and traumatic for traditional media. None of them saw it coming. When it hit, I think it was the biggest, like, you're shockingly wrong and bad at what you do, right? Like, it was traumatic for traditional media. Like, it was just an event kick in the teeth to an institution that had been, I think, pretty proud of its accomplishments for a long time. But the reality is the election of Donald Trump was absolutely traumatic, in my opinion, for traditional media. And I think traditional media right now is displaying 5 distinct attributes of trauma. Panic, right? Avoidance, irritability, disassociation, and sadness. All right, so panic. I feel like traditional media, again, at the institutional level, they attack virtually everything that Trump does. Like there's just, and it's, you can see it's like when a doctor hits your knee with that little mallet. It's a reaction, right? There doesn't seem to be any thought behind the traditional media's attack of Trump, right? Trump said it, we attack it, right? A perfect example of this is Greenland. Trump, he says some absolutely horrific things, right? I think, and one of the things that's really shocking about this is these lash out attacks at Trump at virtually every single thing he does, right, is coming from a panic, right? And the reason why is I don't think at the macro level, at the institutional level, traditional media really thinks about what Trump says. By the way, nothing I'm saying, applies to an individual reporter. Right? This is at the institutional level, right? I don't think there are individual reporters who are suffering from trauma from Trump's election, although I think a few of them actually said that. But that's not the point of what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about the institutional level, right? All right, okay. So these panics, they cause the media to just lash out and attack virtually every single thing Trump does. And it's interesting because I think a few of the things that Trump does deserve attack, right? A few of the things he does are specifically engineered to get the media to attack him, right? And they don't have any ability to understand that that's literally what he's trying to do, right? And then the last one is every now and then Trump has some gangbuster, like freaking rock star ideas that are brilliant, right? America owning Greenland is freaking brilliant. Like, it's my favorite thing from 2019, right? I want to own Greenland. I want a settlement on the moon and a settlement on Mars, right? Like, that is my new, like, American goals, right? Give it to me, right? Let's get it, right? Like, it's just, and it's brilliant. And honestly, and here's the sad thing, I don't think that traditional media has any ability to really even understand that, right? Like, they don't really have any ability to understand that, right? All right, well, let's keep going. So, so avoidance. Oh my gosh. So one of the things that happened at the level of the institution was that several people, actually a segment of traditional media, actually attempted to not use Donald Trump's name, right? I personally ran into a few instances of this, and you will find reports of it where when he was running for as a candidate, people were like, we're just going to ignore this. This is a joke, right? And then even after he started doing well, and even after he was president, there were people who were like, I'm not going to use his name. Many of them went back and did use his name, but as a segment of the traditional media actually tried to not use Donald Trump's name. It's like he was Voldemort, like they were frightened to say it, right? That's trauma. That is a symptom of trauma, right? Irritability. All right, what does irritability look like in the media, in traditional media? Outrageously stubborn, outrageously useless, outrageously repetitive, outrageously angled questions, right? The media, at the macro level, traditional media is supposed to question candidates, right? Question people in the political arena. And you could see their irritability, right? Like there's not thought and intent and design going into the questions they're asking, right? Many of the questions you're like, this was asked before, right? And you already know the answer to it. Why are you just going, and also that's another one, the traditional media, right? Every single traditional media should have like a one-pager on different elements, or there's a few, well, actually, this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about traditional media now. You get organizations that just do the same story over and over and over again and just serve it up like pablum, rather than having one central source and updating the story on that central source, right? There are a few media outlets that do that nowadays, which is incredibly useful. So also, just a minor side note, I think there's actually a huge commercial opportunity for anyone who would be like, we're going to have a list of topics, and you can go on and see a summary of those topics, and you can see the update. You can see one central story updated continuously, right? Like, I don't know what, like, it's amazing. We have all these repetitive, redundant, superfluous news sources that don't link together, and also that don't repeat their own material ad nauseum, right? It's incredible, right? All right, so you have irritability, right? Disassociation. You know what disassociation is? It's when you can't remember. It's when you have memories that your brain is being like, we ain't going to relive that. We're going to put that over to the side, and we're not going to remember that this specific thing happened to us. You're like, what? Like, yeah, that really seriously describes traditional media right now, right? Like, it's very clear, it's shockingly clear that traditional media, like one of the things they did, like here's a perfect example. Traditional media reported, hey, everybody, no worries. Hillary Clinton's got this on lock. Woo, get out your bubbly. We're all going to celebrate because this is going to be a layup for Hillary, right? Oh, here's all the polls. Here's all the data. Here's 55 experts. Here's a bunch of statistics. Hillary's going to win, right? Guess what they're doing now? Oh, don't worry, everybody. Not only will Joe Biden beat Trump, but virtually every single candidate will beat him, and not by a small margin, by like 30 points, right? Like it's like it's the only way these traditional media organizations could possibly do this reporting is if they're dramatically suffering from disassociation and have no memory of what happened 4 years ago, right? Like, they act like polls are still valid, like 2016 didn't happen, right? How could you do that? If you've completely disassociated those memories, right? As an institution, traditional media is clearly suffering from disassociation, right? All right, last one, sadness. You can see there is a massive lament, right? A massive lament, right? And I think that lament is for their status. There was a time where the traditional media was regarded as a useful and noble profession, right? Like that the professions that existed within traditional media were useful and noble. People gave them trust. Like Tom Brokaw, like Dan Rather, those kind of guys. Like, there was a time where they were lauded, where they were respected, right? Where they were thought of as central figures to the importance of information flowing to the American people. And boy, are those days gone, man. Like, it's just a conga line of partisanship, of frustrating coverage, of people being upset people being upset with their output. It's truly incredible, truly incredible. All right, so I said that I think the traditional media is suffering from trauma, and then I outlined it. I think they're suffering specifically from panic, from avoidance, from irritability, from disassociation, and from sadness. All right. Now, what's the point? Right now, so there's a few points here. One, as much as I would like to chalk up the treatment of Andrew Yang to a malevolent spirit on the part of several specific reporters, I think at the macro level, it's not malevolence. It is an institution suffering from trauma. I think that's what's happening. I think that explains it, right? That explains why Andrew Yang is being treated the way he is, right? Now, right? What should your response be to this? Well, guess what? One, you're doing it already, right? You should be going to amateur news sources, right? Now, I'm an amateur news source. Here, let me give you a little news. On November 20th, soon we will have the November 20th Georgia MSNBC Washington Post Debate 5, right? Now, I just gave you an upcoming event's location, its time, who is sponsoring it, who's hosting it, right? And specifically where it falls in the sequence of those other events that have happened, right? All that information is accurate. It's served up to you, right? And I'm serving as a news source, right? Now, honestly, I would say, 2-3 years ago, I would say it's crazy to rely on Scott Garibay to be part of your daily news, right? But this is where we are. This is where we live, right? Like, there's so many things now, right? You want to know why Bitcoin is $8,000 right now? It's because the money you have has absolutely no gold backing it, right? Like, that's the issue. You want to know why Scott Garibay can be a valuable part of your news gathering? Because the people who are paid to do it, right? Actually, not the people. The institution that does this for America is suffering trauma, right? I'm not suffering from trauma, right? Like, so that's the point, right? So if you have two sources, right? Amateur news sources and traditional media, right? Consider using the source that is not clearly suffering from trauma, right? To me, it makes a lot of sense. It really makes a lot of sense. And I think, I understand the craziness of saying we should begin to prioritize amateur news sources, right? But the reality, the only reason I would possibly say this is it seems incredibly clear that traditional media is suffering from trauma, which means that we should almost certainly find another source. That's better for us, and frankly, it may be better for them, right? Like for that institution, right? To give them a chance to see, okay, one, people don't just, take whatever we serve up, no matter what state we're in. Maybe we as a traditional media at the macro level, at the institutional level, should make massive overhauled changes, right? And this can be done. Like it's definitely been done at the corporate level. My kid, I do not like Domino's pizza. My kids cannot get enough of Domino's pizza, man. All of them, they love it, right? And I remember distinctly, Domino's was like, our pizza stinks. We're gonna completely overhaul, right? Traditional media could do the same thing, right? At the level of the industry, they could be like, you know what, our coverage is absolutely horrible. It's shameful and it's horrible. We're gonna make it better, right? They could do that, right? They could acknowledge that they have a problem and seek the help for the problem at the industry level. Until then, amateur news sources like me are going to be right here telling you that debate number 5 is going to be on November 20th in Georgia, and MSNBC and the Washington Post are going to be the hosts, right? All that's my opinion. What do you think? I'd love to hear what you think on this subject. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.